I read one message, and I knew everything. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even explicit. But the way my name was missing from that conversation, I could feel the truth in my bones. It wasn't the cheating that broke me. It was the quiet, brutal realization that the person I loved had already left me long before they physically walked out. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, phone in hand, heart crumbling in slow motion, wondering how long I'd been the only one trying. We weren't fireworks. We were the slow burn. The cozy Sundays. The "I'll pick you up after work" kind of love. We met at a mutual friend's dinner party. They were wearing a faded denim jacket and talking about their favorite childhood book. Not to me, just to the room. But I remember thinking, God, I want to know every page of this person. It wasn't love at first sight. It was more like gravity. A quiet pull. A growing closeness that made the world feel softer. They were the kind of person who left voice notes instead of texts. Who knew my coffee order by heart. Who kissed the top of my head like it was their favorite place in the world. We built a life. A small one. A warm one. Mornings with mismatched socks. Evenings on the couch, wrapped in the same blanket. Inside jokes. Grocery lists. The smell of laundry and rain. And somewhere along the way, I stopped looking for signs. Because I thought I didn't need to. Because I trusted them. God, I trusted them. It was late. Past midnight. That hour where everything's supposed to be still, sacred, safe. They were in the shower. I remember the sound, water hitting tile, the occasional soft hum from their voice, like nothing was wrong. Like it was just another Tuesday night. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. Their phone lit up. Buzzed once. Then again. And something inside me shifted. You know that feeling? When your body knows something your mind hasn't caught up to yet? Like a cold draft you can't explain. I looked at the screen. A name I didn't recognize. But the message told me everything. It was simple. Just 2 lines. No hearts. No photos. Just intimacy. I can still taste you. Hope you got home safe. I stopped breathing. Literally. I had to remind myself to inhale. The seconds stretched like years. My hands were trembling, but not from anger. Not yet. It was something worse. Confusion. Disbelief. This quiet, paralyzing disbelief. I opened the message thread. My thumb moved like it belonged to someone else. And there it was. Weeks. Maybe months. Conversations. Plans. Laughter. Photos. Inside jokes I didn't recognize. Things that once belonged to us, now rewritten in a script I was never meant to read. I didn't say anything when they came out of the shower. I didn't ask. I didn't confront. I just looked at them, really looked, and saw someone I didn't know anymore. They smiled at me. So casually. So easily. And I smiled back. Do you know what that feels like? To smile at someone while your heart is actively breaking inside your chest? It's like dying politely. I didn't leave that night. I didn't scream. I didn't smash the phone or demand answers or cry in the street like I always thought I would. No. I brushed my teeth. I folded the towel on the rack. I turned off the lights. And I lay next to them in bed, pretending I didn't know. That was the beginning of the end, not just of us, but of me too. The days after were unreal. I moved through the world like a placeholder. A version of myself with volume turned all the way down. I still went to work. Still made small talk. Still posted the occasional, funny meme to my story. Because that's what we do, right? We act like everything's fine so no one has to deal with the mess of who we actually are underneath. I laughed at the right moments. I nodded when people spoke. But inside, everything was gray, flat, silent. There was this moment, maybe 5 days later. I was at the grocery store, standing in front of the cereal aisle, and I just forgot what I liked. I stared at those boxes for what felt like an hour. Not because I couldn't decide, but because I didn't know who I was buying them for anymore. They always picked the cereal. They always picked so many things. And now that they weren't real to me anymore, neither was I. I started questioning everything. The way I laughed. The way I dressed. The music I said I liked. The restaurants I thought were our places. Had I ever truly liked any of it? Or was I just mirroring what they loved? That realization was the worst part. Not just losing them, but realizing how much of myself I had given away without even noticing. I couldn't sleep. Nights felt longer than entire weeks. I would lie there, eyes wide in the dark, replaying conversations frame by frame. Was that the night they lied to me? Was that why they were late that day? How many times did they touch me and think of someone else? I spiraled. Not loudly, not destructively, but quietly, dangerously. I stopped talking to friends. Stopped returning texts. My phone became this heavy thing I carried around like a reminder of every truth I wish I hadn't found. One night, maybe 2 weeks in, I sat on the bathroom floor with their toothbrush still in the cup and their shampoo still in the shower, and I whispered aloud, "Come back!" Not because I wanted them, but because I didn't know what to do with the space they left behind. It wasn't them I missed. It was the version of me that existed when I still believed I was loved. And that's what betrayal really steals. Not just trust, but identity, certainty, the shape of your world. It didn't come like I expected. Not in a dramatic scream. Not in some big, empowering moment with rain falling outside and a suitcase in my hand. It came in the smallest way. A coffee cup. I was at this little cafe I'd never noticed before, tucked between a laundromat and a flower shop. I went in because I couldn't go home yet. The apartment felt too loud in its silence. I ordered something random. Something I didn't even think I liked. And when the barista handed me the cup, she had written on the side, in a little scribble, "You look like someone who's survived something." I just froze. I hadn't spoken to her beyond my order. I don't even think I looked her in the eye. But she saw it anyway. And those words, they hit me harder than anything else in weeks. Not, "You look tired." Not, "You okay?" No, "You look like someone who's survived something." It wasn't pity. It wasn't condescending. It was recognition. And suddenly, something cracked inside me, not in a breaking way, but like the first thaw after winter. For the first time, I didn't feel crazy. I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen. That night, I went home, took their toothbrush out of the cup, and placed it in a drawer. I didn't throw it away. Not yet. But it didn't need to stand beside mine anymore. I stood in front of the mirror for a long time. No makeup. No distractions. Just me. And I said out loud, "I'm still here." It felt stupid. It felt raw. It felt true. A few days later, I opened my journal. The one I hadn't touched in over a year. I wrote one line. "Today, I started becoming someone again." And I didn't stop. One line turned into pages. Pages turned into clarity. And clarity turned into ownership. Not of what they did, but of how I would rise from it. The betrayal hadn't ended me, but it had burned down a version of me that wasn't real anymore. And in the ashes, there was room to begin. Healing didn't come in a wave. It came in tiny pieces. Like remembering how I liked my eggs, not how they made them for me. Like playing music in the morning again, but this time, Songs that didn't carry ghosts in the lyrics. Like laughing at a stupid meme and not feeling guilty for forgetting the pain for 3 seconds. That's what they don't tell you about healing. It's not about suddenly feeling strong. It's about noticing. Noticing when the pain gets a little quieter, when the mornings feel less like punishment, when your body stops flinching at kindness. I started changing things in the apartment. Moved the furniture. Donated the clothes they left behind. Bought new sheets. Clean ones. White ones. Ones that smelled like lavender instead of memory. I went out with friends again. Not often, but enough. Enough to remember that I still had people. Enough to remember that I was still allowed to feel lightness. There were still moments, of course. Still nights I cried in the shower. Still days I heard their name in passing and felt my ribs tighten. Still times I doubted whether I'd ever truly trust again. But those moments became moments, not lifetimes. I started walking more. No destination, just movement. Just me, my breath, the sound of leaves underfoot, and this quiet, persistent thought in the back of my mind. I'm coming back. Not to who I was. That person doesn't exist anymore. But to someone better. Someone whole. Someone who chooses themselves even when it's hard. And love. God, I stopped fearing it. Because I realized something. The betrayal wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of their limits. And I won't shrink just because someone couldn't meet me where I stood. So I stopped asking why. Stopped replaying the texts. Stopped needing closure from someone who was never capable of giving it. I gave that closure to myself. With every boundary I set. Every moment I said no. Every time I chose peace over chaos. Every time I chose me. Ready for the final part? Ending, minutes 28 to 30, the soft landing, the quiet, powerful close. Here is the final part, ending, minutes 28 to 30, a quiet, grounded close, not perfect, but honest, and full of emotional resolution. Ending, minutes 28 to 30. I don't tell this story to shame them. I don't tell it for sympathy. I tell it because I need people to know. You can lose everything you thought was real, and still come back to yourself. You can love with your whole chest, get your heart broken by someone who didn't know what to do with it, and still wake up the next day with something soft and sacred left inside you. You? That's what's left. I used to think healing meant being over it. Like someday I'd wake up and not flinch at their name. Like I'd never think about them again. But now I know. Healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without bleeding. It's being able to talk about what happened without falling apart. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I am not what they did to me. I still think about that coffee cup sometimes. You look like someone who survived something. And now, years later, I do more than survive. I live. I create. I love, carefully, but openly. And most of all, I trust myself. I didn't move on. I moved forward. And some nights, when the ache returns, and it still does, I don't fight it. I let it sit beside me. Like an old scar. Like something that once tried to break me, but didn't. Some things we never get over. But we learn to live beside them. And somehow, in that living, we find ourselves again.